Welcome to your Sage 100 Short Advanced Lookup Engine, otherwise known as the ALE. There is a place in Sage where you can go to Library Master Main and use the User Lookup Wizard to create custom lookups for multiple users at one time. For today, we're going to focus on just a single user customization and go through the wizard and see what we can do. Today's recording will be with a collection scenario using customers in Sage. The lookup is this little magnifying glass, so we see that all over the place in Sage 100. Here's what the stock lookup looks like. What we're going to do is click the custom button, and we're going to create a collections view. I'm going to choose to make this my default view. And here is the working screen with available fields on the left, selected fields on the right. It starts out with the stock fields. The first thing we're going to show is how to actually remove the fields that we don't need in this particular view. We're going to get rid of the status, click the one arrow button to the left to remove it. The double arrows moves everything one way or the other. We don't need the zip code, and we also don't need the sort field for this purpose. Now what we're going to do is add some fields that we do need. First thing we want is the state. We'll move that over. Next thing we'll want is the customer's email address. Date of last payment. Average days to payment of invoice. Average days overdue. The credit limit would be helpful in a collection scenario. Perhaps most important is, what are their balances? Sage keeps track of the balance by the current balance, whatever is currently due, as well as 4 aging categories, which are system defined. So we'll move those over. Moving on down, we can see that there's some linked tables. We can also pick fields from these linked tables. Maybe we'd like the salesperson's name. The next thing we're going to show is that you can control the order of the fields. We're going to move the state up after the name. Maybe that will help us determine a time zone for the customer that has the past due balances, so that we can pick the best time to reach out to them about their past due balance. Next thing we want to do here is refine some of these fields to clean things up a little bit. The email address is a very long field. So, depending on your data set, we could manipulate this just to shorten that up. For our demonstration, we're going to make it 20. Date of last payment, we're going to modify that as well. And we're just simply going to call it last paid. We'll set the width on this one to 10. The average days to payment of invoice has a long title, so we want to shorten that up. And let's set that to 10 as well. We're going to work on our aging categories next. As I mentioned earlier, the aging categories are based on the system setup. In this particular system, aging category 1 is 30 days past due. We'll go ahead and update the remaining aging categories as applicable. last but not least, we have our last category, 120 days or more past due. Great, looking good so far. Now, the salesperson name also has the table inserted. So that's not only a little bit longer than we really need, but it also has that title in there that doesn't really add any information. So let's modify that. We're just going to make it say salesperson, and we're going to set that width to 10. Fantastic. We've got most of our fields that we can pick from that we need for this particular view, but since this is a collections view, it would be helpful to know what the total past due amount is, not just the aging breakdown. Let's click the new field and make a new calculation. We'll set this to 12. Here, when I click into the calculation box by clicking the hammer and wrench, I get the ability to create the formula that I need to calculate the past due. This is an easy calculation in this case. We'll simply add the aging categories that are not part of the current balance. Click OK, and now we have the past due amount. In this case, I want the past due amount to show after the current balance, but before the aging categories, 30, 60, 90, and 120, which break down how old those past due balances are. We have all the fields we need now. Let's move to the next step, which is the filter. You can have multiple filters, but in this case, we're just going to put in one in the interest of time. We can pick any of the fields that we have in our view, including anything that we've created in terms of calculations. In this case, we're going to say we want the past due to be greater than. I'm going to say we care about anything that's over a penny. We'll go to the next step. This is the default search criteria. A lot of people like to have the contains, so we're going to change the search criteria to the name of the customer and contains. This might make it easier to find people. We'll go ahead and finish the wizard. Up comes our customized ALE that we just created. As I scroll to the right, you can see that I have all the fields there. We can also sort by any of these fields. So if we wanted to sort by the past due amount, for example, we could do that. Perhaps we want to sort by the salesperson. Any Advanced Lookup Engine screen, including stock screens, are all exportable to Excel with a single click of a button. Let's do it. All right, here's the Excel. And again, we could just, insert some rows. Perhaps we're going to subtotal this by sales rep. Maybe we're going to send the sales rep their past due accounts, ask them to follow up with the customer. But you get the idea. Thank you for watching this Sage 100 short.